I'm painting a chair. Whoop, whoop. You guys have asked so many times for me to paint a fabric chair on my videos, so I did. I did it tonight over on Dixie Belle Paints Instagram and Dixie Belle Paints Facebook. So here we are. Let's just continue and keep going. It's a really easy and fun project. It really is, but it's not easy unless you know all of the ins and outs about fabric. I'm not a fan of painting velvet. I prefer like a cotton twill. So let me spin this chair around and show you what this fabric looked like before we started working on it. And this is it right here. This is what the fabric looked like. So this is just a cotton, I keep calling it like a twill fabric. It's what I look for when I look to be able to paint chairs. I don't like to use any type of fabric that has any bulk or no tweed, no velvet, anything with any type of pile that has like the raised damask or the roses that are thick, or a lot of those, unfortunately, they just turn too crunchy and too hard. But this cotton works beautifully with Dixie Belle paint. So I like this. I like duck cloth or denim or any type of like drop cloth canvas type fabric. That works really well. A muslin works really well. Any cotton works well. So that's what I wanted to make sure that you understand, is that I don't paint anything that's got too much thickness or pile to it, because it just doesn't turn out well. And I want to make sure that you don't try that at home and then it turns out and you're like, oh, this is gross, this is crunchy. Why'd she say you can paint fabric? You can paint certain fabrics. That's my opinion.
Hi, everybody.
Matt's behind the camera. Y'all say hello. Please let us know who you are. Say hello. Let us know that you're watching. We're going to spin this back around, but real quick, I want to show you.
Oh,
What
is this company name? You can use fabric medium mixed with the paint, so it's not crunchy.
You can, but you don't have to. But as far as painting velvet, I've tried multiple times to do velvet. Everyone wants to paint those velvet sofas that are so amazing on those gorgeous French frames. And I did mix with fabric medium, and it just doesn't work for me. It just didn't work. But that's just my opinion. If you can make it work, that's awesome. Go live and show someone how to do it. But I think it's too much work. There's a lot of sanding, and I don't know, cotton twill's easy. That's just what I like to do. So this is a primer, and I don't really need a primer on this piece, but it is orange and yellow, and I am gonna go with black and white stripes on the back and on the seat, so that means I'm gonna paint this all white. So instead of doing like probably three coats of white to cover this, I am just using my primer. So I've got a really wet brush here and my primer. This is Dixie Belle Gray B.O.S, and I could have used clear B.O.S, but of course, what good would that have done, because that's not gonna block any color, right? And I could have used white B.O.S, but I prefer gray, and I actually am low on my white, so I just went with the gray. So these nail head trims, I just like to pounce just like this, and it gets on the wood frame, but this is why I paint the fabric first. I never, ever, ever paint my frame first. I get my fabric done, and then I come in, just like when you're cutting in on a wall, you paint the whole, well, some people cut in first and then paint. What do we do first, babe? What do you like to do first when we do that?
I'm sorry, I was reading comments and not listening to you.
What? Oh my gosh. Okay, so once you get your primer up there a little bit, you could just give it a little spritz with your water bottle, and it will spread. It'll spread a little bit farther. You've got to get it on there, let it sit, and then you can move it around. You don't need it super thick, so you might as well just spread it out.
How about painting on pleather?
Pleather and leather paint beautifully. I love it. I've painted it many times, and I probably will do a Facebook Live and Instagram Live on that as well. We have my office chair, which is actually about to be changing, that I did on, it was actually leather, not pleather, and I did it a year ago, and it's held up beautifully, and I'll bring that out during a live and let you guys see that, so you can see how well it's held up.
There are oddly high number of Texans on here tonight.
Really?
Hi, Karen from Albuquerque. Happy Cinco de Mayo to you.
That is funny. I wonder why that is.
Shane says I always cut in first on walls.
You cut in first.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. It really
Yes,
just
we
depends.
do too.
We do, but sometimes, Matt, we have things going on and you're like, I'm going to go paint that wall. You come back in and cut it
that's
in.
true.
It just kind of depends on, because he doesn't do the cutting in. I do.
I don't have a steady hand like she does.
So if he gets in there and starts painting the wall and I'm not, I have to go at it later, the cutting in. Does it really matter? I don't know.
I think it does matter.
It does. You're right. I think professional painters paint the...
And if you come and cut in after I have a coat down, I always put a little extra coat on there.
Yeah.
Just so there's not two different textures.
Yeah, you're right.
Hello from Utah.
From Utah. Who is it?
Michelle says, why are you changing your office chair?
Because I'm changing my office.
Where's that going, in your office?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I just bought this just for life.
Just to
That's
mess
all.
around.
Yeah, this belongs to anyone who wants it when I'm done. I searched it out on Marketplace last night and found, because I knew I wanted to do that live. I told a few people this week in comments that I would do a painted chair this week. I said, I think I'll do one this week, but by last night I still didn't have one. So I got on Marketplace last night and I found one and I drove and picked it up today. And it's perfect. I absolutely love it. It's gonna be adorable. If you need a little piece of fun or funky, let me know if you would like it, and I have an idea what I'm gonna do, and I can make it work with your color scheme, but otherwise it's just gonna be available after I'm done with it.
Sherry says, I always see these beautiful chairs. Are they more decorative?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
I think she's asking if they're easier
Who is that? My
to
Sherry?
decorate. No. Sherry Steiner.
I just like the beautiful chairs, but unfortunately, a lot of the beautiful chairs are velvet. A lot of those super French, super really cool frames are velvet. Okay, the only reason I'm spreading this out on the wood, y'all, I don't need to prime this wood. I'm not gonna go white, so I don't need to prime it, or light. I'm gonna go with a really bold color on the chair, I think. But I have it there from, I was pouncing like this, so it got all over. And instead of leaving it just messy, I always go back at the end and just kind of smooth it out and brush it out.
Deanna wants to know, after you paint these fabric chairs, are they crunchy?
No, if they were crunchy, I would not do it. I'm a super, super, super texture girl. Things need to feel good on my body. They need to feel good. My pillows, my couches. We bought that huge pick couch and we ended up moving it to another room for Zadie. And I was so glad because we have to lay blankets down. Like, I don't like that feeling of that fabric on I'm super picky.
What'd you use? That was a different brand of paint, but it felt like one of those outdoor
For what?
fabric. I think you had a mermaid on the back. Is that really big chair we had? It was in the den for a while.
Oh, it had hearts and stripes. That was my first painted chair.
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
had a much different texture than this
It
paint.
did, but it wasn't just the fabric. It was because it was my first painted chair. So I didn't really know what I was doing. So over the course of, that was like 5 years ago. So over the course of 5 years, I've painted so many chairs that I've learned the ins and outs. And that is,
I guess
make
you've been
sure
talking
you
about
use
the couch.
a lot of paint, huh?
I said, have you been talking about the couch? Barb Schwartz wants to know what color is your new couch.
Oh yeah, it's a surprise. It's a surprise, Barb.
Oh, she's talking about for your office.
Yes, for my
I
office.
thought she was talking about
My
the one
couch. I did it. In fact, I got it's shipped today. It's on its way. Now,
Gina says, oh, sorry.
y'all don't be disappointed in my couch, okay? Y'all need to remember, those of y'all who are following along with this new office saga. My couch, I couldn't just go for style as much as I want to, and all those gorgeous ones I posted. I couldn't do that because I need a sleeping space for at least two humans. Two humans. Two adults. Adults. I don't call kids humans. No, two adults. I need sleeping space. And so, my son and his wife live in Japan and they will be coming to visit. My sister-in-law comes to town and we love her to stay here and I need a place for her. And my girlfriend Sherry. So I needed a bed. So that sort of limits you when you need a bed and you want a velvet couch. You're kind of limited. I really wanted velvet. I really wanted a bright color, but I needed it to be a sleeper. Not necessarily like pull out into a mattress sleeper, but.
Okay, two things. Dina says, you using bold colors? What? I don't know if she's talking about your office or on this chair.
She probably means on this chair. On this chair, of course I'm using bold colors. Of course, of course. Okay, now I'm gonna lay down the top. Let me lay that down. Oh, actually I missed a little bit right here. So I told on the other video that you need, anywhere there's like a leg like this, you gotta pull your fabric apart by there so that you make sure you get plenty of paint down inside there. So I always load my brush with a lot of paint. I pull it away from that wood and I hit it down inside there because you don't want someone sitting on it and looking down and seeing like the old fabric underneath there. That would be kind of gross.
Couple questions. What brand of water sprayer bottle is that?
That is, it doesn't have a branding on it, but they are available on Dixie Belle's page. So if you decide that you want to try this and you want to get yourself some paints, maybe a little bit of B.O.S. primer, and get yourself a water bottle while you're there. It's a Mr. bottle, and those are available with my link that's above this video, and that's the Dixie Belle page. And did y'all know that when you order with my link, it doesn't cost you any more to order, and that Dixie Belle gives me a kickback for promoting their product. So that's really, really nice. And Dixie Belle gives you flat rate shipping of $10 for anything that's, as long as you order $50 or more. Okay, so this part right here, I have not, what are you doing back there, babe?
I'm trying to catch up with these comments.
Okay, this is the back. This is still wet, so I'm not gonna do that. But this down here is dry. I did it earlier today. I just wanna wet it a little bit. That's just the primer. This is Fluff, if you're wondering. This is Dixie Belle's Fluff. Pull it away from that seat, get down in there next to the wood. Same thing over here so that you don't forget. Go ahead and get that out of the way. Pull it apart, separate it.
Inga wants to know, why are these brushes so expensive?
The synthetic brushes, because they're freaking amazing.
Yeah, you get what you pay for with them.
No, seriously, you really do. They're matte. You didn't believe these either until we got them and you used them and you're like.
Yeah, we've been using those same brushes. You can tell by looking at it.
Look how old this brush is.
We probably had that 2.5 years, 3 years.
I don't know how long they came ago. This, I'm over here pounding it. I mean, it's an amazing brush. Look at this. Look at these brushes. Like they're beautiful. They're red. They are handmade, by the way, handmade. These are, all the bristles are handmade. They're synthetic and natural bristles together. And then they have, they're bound and hand, whatever you call this, like hand milled. And on top of that, they are made to work with chalk mineral paint. Chalk mineral paint's very heavy. It's very, very heavy. So before these brushes came out, I'll tell you what I used to use. I used to use, and I loved it before I knew any better, I used to use a brush from Home Depot. Remember it, Matt? That little blue rubber handle?
Shorty, right?
Shorty. It's called the Shorty.
Yeah.
They're like $5.
Mm-hmm.
Like $5.
Good throwaways.
We would use them. They'd tear up. We'd toss them. They didn't clean up well. And when I was using them with chalk paint, they really didn't work with the chalk paint very well. These, have you ever used a watercolor brush? I don't know why I'm pushing the brushes right now. They're not even available. They're out of stock. So you can't even buy one right now. So don't even go looking to buy one because they're not available. But these are, if you've ever used a watercolor brush, an actual watercolor brushes are made specifically for watercolors. All of the, why am I having trouble thinking of this word? All of the little
bristles?
Every single bristle in a watercolor brush is meant to hold, it's a certain type of hair
material,
and it's meant to hold a lot of water, every single one. Well, these are meant to hold a lot of weight. And so when you dip them in the chalk paint, you don't have to go back into your jars many times because it actually holds a lot, paints a lot, and bounces right back to shape when you wash it and clean it.
Julie says Restoration Hardware has 46-inch velvet deep sofas, but you have to take out a loan.
Yeah, you do. And I needed it. I didn't want a sleeper sofa that a bed pulls out of because I hate them. I've tried them all, sleeping on them, and I don't like them. And I didn't want just an extra wide sofa because we have that, our gray one. And actually the kids, Haley and her kids don't mind sleeping on it, but in a guest room, I didn't want people to say, hey, here, sleep on the couch, you know. I wanted an actual like bed. So I got a sofa that actually, it's kind of like the newer version. What do they call them? Convertible sofas. So it's like the new version of a futon, and Haley and Trevor have one. Mine's doesn't, it's a different color than theirs, but they have one in their movie room, and I prefer to sleep on it when I go to their house versus my granddaughter's full-size bed. It's much more comfortable. So I've already slept on it. I know what they feel like, and it'll hold 2 people. So that's what I went with. Y'all will see it when I get my office together. Okay, so that's that. That is that. So now, babe, I'm just like spinning this like I have nothing better to do.
Good workout.
Awkward.
Ashley says the brushes are the bomb. I didn't believe it until I bought my first one. Well worth the money, and can't see the rest of it.
They are. If anyone can sell matte on a product, because
I don't like anything. No.
if anyone can tell Matt that he needs to pay more than a $5 shorty brush,
Yeah, it's a tough sell.
Yeah, it's a tough sell. Okay, this is still a little bit damp. I probably shouldn't start painting on it, but I'm going to.
And that says the brushes are custom made and you get what you pay for. I found out the hard way. And that's true. You only have to buy them once.
I mean, they last forever, thank God, because they've been, since COVID, they've been, for a year. Once they sold out, they haven't been able to get any more, and it has really, really been frustrating for the retailers. It's been frustrating for everyone, for the end user, for you guys, for us brand ambassadors. So thank God I take really good care of my brushes because I know this is all I got for right now. But Dixie Belle is working really hard on it to solve the brush drought. We're on a brush drought.
Supplier issue.
Yeah, it is a supplier issue.
Hi, Joy. I'm feeling a little bloated. And other than that, I feel pretty good.
That's
How about you?
So sweet of her to ask you that.
I'm bloated because I drink 93 ounces of water every day. And I'm not used to that. Although I do drink a lot of water.
Because we're not on Dixie Belle's page, I can talk about this openly. So you guys know, those of y'all that follow me for painting, that I also run a health and wellness program called The Best You. Baby, will you go get me some more water in there? It's when I tilt it, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not spraying.
Pookie, are you keeping your beautiful mural in your office or changing that out as well?
That's gone, hun. That mural's been gone, Pookie. That's been gone. We gave up my office because we now have a 14-year-old and a half daughter who mentioned that she was ready to maybe start having some of her guy friends and girlfriends come over and have like co-ed come over and watch TV and stuff. And we weren't gonna let them go in her room to do that. So our only extra room I had turned into an office. That same office had been my other daughter, who's now 31. That was her hangout room at this house too, with girls and guys. So I decided it was that season to turn that room back into that again. It's our it's the formal dining room that we've turned, was my office. So, it's like a pass-through room, so there's no doors to it, and, it's by the kitchen, and you know what I mean. So.
Couple questions. Well, for starters, Ashley Osborne says I sound like a cross between Elvis and Al Green.
Oh, wow, they both have great voices. That's
Thank you,
compliment.
Ashley. I'm just kidding. She says I sound like her husband.
By the way, I want to say sacrifice for Mom because I had to get rid of that mural, which broke my heart. Okay, so go ahead.
Yeah. Deanna says she's been trying to get brushes for over a year, but it is a supplier issue. It's everywhere.
Yes.
Martha says, what are you applying? Primer?
No, this is, we already did the primer. Primer's done. Here, we can put some primer on here. You want to watch me do the primer? I'll put it right here. So this is the primer. Primer is Gray B.O.S. And I'm putting it on just like this. And then I do spray it a little bit. And then kind of smear it out. And can't really tell the difference between the primer and the paint, can you?
Martha wants to know why you're not painting the arms.
You mean the wood? The wood part?
I guess that was a
Oh, wait, was that a late question?
That was probably late. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
I am.
Uh-oh.
I am now. Just like this. All right, that's my primer, so I'm gonna let that sit and dry, and then I'll come back with my base coat color. So my plan is I'm gonna do black and white stripes on the seat, and there's a trick to that because you can't tape off your stripes on the seat very easily. You can, but it's a struggle. So I've come up with a way to do that a little bit easier. And then on the back, I like to just put white down and let that be my canvas, sort of like a white blank canvas, and I will do artwork on here. And I have some idea what I'm gonna do, but I don't have it just nailed down just yet. And so that's that. And then after I finish all of my artwork, I come back and do the wood frame. That's when I paint. I do it last. And then I always do like some shading and some gold. You know, I'll come back with, I'm sure we'll use gold, so I'll probably do gold on all of these nail head trims. Can they see me over here on this part, babe?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Y'all see okay?
Using primer over here. This is the Dixie B.O.S. in gray. Dixie B.O.S. comes in clear, white, and gray. And white is gray is my primer of choice. It's the one I love. I just use it more than anything. What do you
Annette
think?
wants to know, have you ever done, where'd it go? Have you ever done a transfer over painted fabric?
Yes, I sure have.
Oh, you have?
She might be reading my mind.
You gonna do it on there, I guess?
That's part of my plan.
Camden wants to know, do you clean the fabric before you paint it?
No, I did not. I just primed it. No, I didn't. I mean, if it's...
I thought you sprayed it and wiped it down.
No.
Oh.
No, I brought it home, and I mean, if it looks gross or something, I'll vacuum it or something like that, but no. Nope, I don't. No, I just spritzed it with water, and the stains showed up as soon as the water hit it, and I was like, well, crap. I wasn't counting on there being big stains on the seat that I couldn't see when the fabric was dry, so I decided to go ahead and just prime it, which I did with B.O.S., which locks in any like odor, whatever. It looked fine. It looked totally clean, but there was stain there when I got it wet. So that's it, guys. I gotta let this dry, but I gotta let that dry more before I can put more fluff on there. But you can see how good it looks, right? And then the back is only primed, so I still have to paint the back. Oh my goodness, I still have to paint the back white, but
Michelle
pretty
says
good.
she thinks it's gonna be an Alice in Wonderland chair.
Who's trying to be a smarty pants? Who's trying to be a smarty pants? Oh man, look, I was upside down. I didn't get that very well right there. Let me get that under there. Is that my primer brush? I think that's my primer brush. Shoot.
Sue Walter says that you walked her through a transfer on a chair and it's still holding up great.
Yay, Sue, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. All right. Looks good. I like it. I'm covered. Anyway, oh dang, we didn't stay on that long, did we? Does anyone have any questions? We could do like a little Q&A. Does anyone have any questions about primer? About primer or paint on chair? Any at all?
On chair?
Y'all should see Matt. He's like this behind the camera. He's sitting like this. Like such a dude. What if us women just always sat back like that? Such a dude. No questions?
Not yet, but it takes a minute for them to load
I
in.
know it does. I know it does.
How do you seal transfers on chairs?
Well, I always use on any of my chairs, I always use the Easy Peasy spray wax, so that would work over your transfer as well. But you can also use, no, you can't use clear wax over the transfer. But the Easy Peasy spray wax is water-based, so you can use that.
Inga wants to know, she's curious, why do you use a cloth drop cloth and not a tarp? She wonders about paint seeping through on the floor.
It doesn't. Usually I have them, I always have them doubled. This one's actually quadrupled. And because this is a testament to, I would not be painting chairs if they didn't feel decent to sit on. I'm a texture person. I don't like things touching me that don't feel good. So if I were on a tarp, it would be plastic, and that means I have to hear the plastic, sit on the plastic, walk around on the plastic.
Yeah, that would irritate you.
That would irritate me so bad. Like, I can't have plastic shower curtains. I don't know. I just need cloth. Usually on the floor, he makes me get rid of it. I have like bathroom floor mats that I buy because they're soft, they're thick.
And they collect sawdust.
And I like them. They're furry under me when I sit down. You know bathroom floor mats, they feel good on your feet. The fluffy ones, that's what I have. But he's like, that's so gross. You can't have that on camera.
Deanna wants to know, do you lightly sand this primer coat before painting it?
Oh, I usually do. I skipped that. On Dixie Belle's page, I did it on the seat. So I sanded the seat first, the primer coat, and then put the B.O.S. on. And then I didn't. I got a little ahead of myself on the other. Sorry. But yes, I do.
Carol wants to know, can you use primer on a leather piece?
Where's my sanding sheet that I used? Where'd it go?
I think it's behind you.
Oh, yes. I did sand. I used the sanding sponge, or you could use one of the Surf Prep sanders, and then I brushed it off with a brush.
Julie wants to know if she can ask you about a gumball machine.
Yes. Ask me. Which Julie?
Kathy Hess just wanted to say thank you. Julie Dinkers Bishop.
Oh, yes. What about it? Ask me. And there was another question too.
There was. How do you seal transfers?
Oh, I answered that one.
Okay. If you painted the chair white, would you boss it first?
Yes, I would. If I were painting this wood white, that's a great question, whoever asked that. If I were painting this chair white, I would boss it.
Okay. How do you keep the fabric from getting crunchy?
Thin coats, and you thin it with water, and you sand it with some light sandpaper or one of the Surf Prep pads or the sanding sponge by Dixie Belle. You can even use like a crumpled up brown paper bag, like a lunch bag, or brown wrapping paper, like packaging paper. Crumple that up, and you just go over it and sort of break up the surface, and then brush it off really well, and then put another thin coat of paint on again, and use your misting bottle and do spritzes so it goes on really thin. That will keep it from being crunchy.
Roxanne wants to know if you sand between each coat.
Yes.
Why did you paint some of the wood and not the other part? Martha wants to know.
Because when you're getting this nail head trim right here, you have your brush and you go like this to get down in that nail head, and what happens is the teeth of this come down here and it gets all like scrunched up. So when I'm done pouncing my nail head trim, because I paint a lot of chairs with nail head trim, then I just take my brush and just smooth it out, because I just want it to be smooth. But it's not because I'm painting the chair. I just want it to be smooth.
Ashley wants to know, do you have to scuff sand between coats after B.O.S.?
Yes, after the B.O.S., you'll sand it and then put on a thin coat of paint with water and let that dry, and then sand that. And then if you need a next coat, you'll sand that and brush that off and then do your next coat. Yes. Okay. So like this coat back here is done. This white, it's done. So when it dries, I will get my sanding sponge and I will rub it all over it lightly. Then I'll take this brush and I'll get off all the dust, and then I'll start drawing my design, and I will start my artwork.
So Julie Dinkers Bishop wants to know, so do I need to use slick or can I just use paint for primer?
On a gumball machine, slick stick. The gumball machines need to be slick sticked.
Okay. Should you use a primer on a piece of leather furniture?
I have painted leather without using a primer. So if you are going to paint leather that isn't going to be sat on or laid up against a lot, like I did leather headboard and I primed that. If it's just going to be like the back of a chair or something like that, the chalk mineral paint is going to stick to that leather. But my issue with it is if it's going to get a lot of use over time, then I personally feel like you should do a thin coat of primer on it. I do. I just feel like it's better to be safe than sorry.
Zadie's on. She
She
says, hi, Mom.
Hi, baby. Hi there.
What do you use to draw your design on?
By the way, Zadie's on from her bedroom.
Yeah.
She's in her room. What do I use to
You're
draw
welcome,
my design
Julie.
on? Pencil or Sharpie marker. If I'm unsure about what I'm drawing, if I'm hesitant about my design, I'll use pencil, and then I'll use Sharpie. But if I'm super confident in what I'm drawing, if it's something I've drawn a lot or I'm doing a super freestyle drawing, I just go straight with Sharpie. Can't mess up.
What's a drying time between coats?
Just depends on where you are. You can use a heat gun to dry it if you want. If out here I'm climate controlled, so I have AC, and it's dry within an hour. However, if you oversaturate it, don't oversaturate it. You don't need to. There's no need to. You don't want this water to be so much that it's going down into the stuffing of the chair. You're just lightly misting the paint. That's it. So about an hour, probably.
Becky wants to know what color you're going to paint that wood.
I don't know yet, Becky. Becky who?
Let me go back.
Is it Ralph's?
Becky Bernard.
Becky Bernard. I don't know yet. I'm not sure. I need to get my head wrapped around this design, and then I'll decide on what color I'm going to paint the wood. I figured it would be something bright and bold, but I'm actually kind of even leaning into like maybe like an antebellum blue. I'm thinking maybe. I'm not sure. Black is always good.
So Connie Sanchez Linhoff says, got here a little late but wanted to know, after priming and painting over the nail heads, what do you do to them after that?
Hi,
Can you
sweetheart.
get them back to the way they looked? Thinking of doing my dining room chairs.
Do you mean to the way they looked as far as like these were like a brass color. Is that what you mean? So normally, Connie, I take my fingertip and I just use a gold or a silver paint, so like in this case, I would use probably the mousse that's been diluted or infused with the gloss, the clear gloss. And I usually just use my finger and I do a touch on the top. But you're right, that doesn't go all the way to the edge. So you could just sit and paint with a small artist paintbrush, which you're good at, and you just paint it. Just paint all the way to the edge. That's what I would do. So the patina line, Dixie Belle's patina line has copper, bronze, and iron. So I would think if I wanted to get these back to bronze, I would just use the patina line. And you know what? The patina paint by Dixie Belle does not need a top coat. So once you paint it, and it dries, it's on there, and you don't need to go back and top coat it. Anything else?
That's it.
Connie and I went to high school together.
Oh.
Okay, guys. Well, that is it. We are gonna let y'all go. Whoop whoop. This is my last live for the week. Wednesday nights. Wednesday nights are like my Friday nights for live videos.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I'll try to hold off on this and not do any more to it until next Wednesday. But if I get like a super creative bug and an idea and I just got to get out here and try it out like the mad scientist, I might work on it. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next Wednesday and we'll keep going on it. Okay? Thanks so much, y'all. We'll see y'all later.